All right, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're literally traveling back in time to the ancient city of Babylon in Iraq to witness an absolutely high-stakes historical showdown. It's a classic clash between unshakable divine logic and, well, massive earthly arrogance. On one side, we've got Prophet Ibrahim, peace be upon him, a man whose heart was just illuminated with absolute faith. And on the other, we have King Namrud, a brutal tyrant who ruled with an iron fist and genuinely believed his power had no limits. This isn't just two guys arguing. It's a profound masterclass in intellect and the stark contrast between worldly delusion and undeniable truth. So let's look at how this legendary encounter actually unfolded. Okay, let's dive into this because the tension here starts the literal second Prophet Ibrahim is brought into the royal court. Imagine King Namrud sitting high up on his throne, looking down and demanding with just pure arrogance, "Who is your lord?" Now, you have to remember, in Babylon, the king was the supreme authority. This was a society worshipping carved stones. Namrud isn't asking this out of genuine curiosity. He is demanding submission. He's daring Ibrahim to name a power higher than the crown. Section 3 here, the king's court. To really grasp the gravity of this scene, we need to quickly establish why Ibrahim was even summoned there in the first place. He didn't just wander in for a chat. He was hauled before Namrud right after something utterly mind-blowing happened, an event that completely shattered the laws of nature and directly challenged Namrud's oppressive system. We're talking about the miracle of the immense fire. The sources tell us a fire was built by the people that was so high the wood seemed to touch the sky. It was massive. Ibrahim was tied up and thrown straight into this roaring inferno. But miraculously, he walked out totally unharmed. The fire burned the ropes, sure, but his body and even his clothes, completely untouched. Surviving something like that naturally catches the eye of a tyrant, setting the ultimate stage for our debate. Which brings us to the Lord of Life. Ibrahim is standing in front of the most powerful man in his world, fresh out of a blazing fire. So when Nimrod barks, "Who is your lord?" Ibrahim doesn't even blink. He doesn't cower. Instead, for his opening move in this intellectual chess match, he's incredibly calm. He doesn't even bring up the fire. He just bypasses all the earthly titles and goes straight to the very essence of existence. He replies with total conviction, "My Lord is the one who gives life and causes death." I mean, look at how brilliant this response is. Ibrahim completely ignores Namrud's wealth and armies. He instantly establishes a cosmic absolute authority by pointing to the two undeniable realities that no human, no matter how powerful, can actually control: the beginning of life and its end. A flawed counter-argument if I've ever seen one. Now, you'd think a profound statement like that might make a tyrant pause, right? Not Namrud. His massive ego just won't let him be outdone in his own courtroom. So instead of recognizing his own limitations, he gets mocking. He haughtily fires back, basically saying, "Hey, I can do that too." He actually tries to match this divine claim. And the way he tries to prove it is honestly disturbing. He orders this cruel, theatrical demonstration right there in the court. He summons two prisoners from his dungeons. With a wave of his hand, he orders his guards to execute the first guy. Then, he looks at the second prisoner and grandly announces he's letting him go free. Namrud actually smirks. He genuinely believes he's just proved that he holds the absolute power of life and death in his own two hands. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the glaring, almost embarrassing flaw in the king's logic. It's a massive false equivalence. Look at item 1. True divine authority means literally creating life out of nothing and taking a soul as a force of nature. Item 2, that's just earthly manipulation. Nimrod didn't create life. He just chose not to kill a guy who was already breathing. It's a cheap parlor trick trying to mask his complete lack of real power. Moving on to the cosmic challenge. Ibrahim sees right through this nonsense. But as a master debater, he knows that arguing the definition of giving life with a stubborn tyrant is just going to lead to endless semantics, so he doesn't even bother. Instead, he pivots seamlessly and drops a brand new argument, an undeniable challenge that leaves absolutely zero room for trickery. Ibrahim looks the king dead in the eye and says, "Indeed, Allah brings the sun from the east, so you bring it from the west." And this brilliantly illustrates the ultimate checkmate. Boom. Ibrahim takes the debate completely out of the earthly realm, where Namrud can cheat with swords and prisoners, and moves it to the cosmos. He's basically saying, "Oh, you run the universe? Cool, change the orbit of the sun." It is a spectacular, crushing blow to the tyrant's facade. Let's look at the defeat and exile that followed. Just imagine standing in that courtroom. The shift in the atmosphere must have been absolutely wild. 1 second, Namrud is smugly playing a god with men's lives. And the next? Faced with the immovable reality of the sun and stars, his absolute powerlessness is totally exposed in front of all his nobles, his guards, and his people. Silence. Utter and complete silence. Our sources tell us that Nimrod had absolutely no answer. The most powerful man in Babylon was completely silenced and publicly humiliated in his own court. His arrogance was forced to bow to pure, undeniable logic. He was trapped, with literally nowhere to hide his sheer incompetence. Let's move to and see how this builds into the final consequences. You'd really hope that witnessing a man survive an inferno and then getting logically demolished in public would open a person's eyes, right? But the historical sources emphasize that Nimrod's heart remained completely closed. He simply refused to accept the truth. So, unable to win the debate, he resorted to the only tool tyrants have left: physical force. He ordered Ibrahim to be banished. Because of this, Ibrahim was exiled, leaving his homeland of Iraq and migrating towards Syria to continue his vital mission of spreading the message of monotheism. Which brings us to a really profound reflection to wrap up this explainer. We just saw earthly power completely dismantled by clear, unshakable truth. Yet the victory of logic didn't actually lead to the tyrant's submission. It begs the question: when undeniable logic dismantles arrogance, why do some still choose the darkness of exile over the light of acceptance? It's a pretty tragic reality of a closed human heart, but also a massive reminder of the incredible resilience of those who stand firmly on the side of truth. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me for this explainer on one of history's greatest debates, and I'll catch you next time.